morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dr. John Belquist. I'm the Director of Research and Development at Intelligent Concrete, where we bring new and emerging technologies to the concrete industry.
I'm Brooke Pesdertz. I'm a lab tech here at Intelligent Concrete, and I love what I do.
So, it's Q&A Wednesday. Q&A Wednesday! And we're here to address a question from Saul G. Ding!
Saul G asks, hi, when you guys mix concrete in the lab with a mixing machine, do you actually follow the ASTM C192? How do you guys batch the material and in what sequence?
The ASTM C192 8.1.2 says to mix it for 3 minutes, followed by a 3-minute rest, and then final for mix for 2 minutes. What is the point of letting the concrete rest for 3 minutes in the mixer? Does CCRL care for the correct order when you are mixing? You want to read the last one because it pisses me off.
And the last part of his question, or his comment on it, says, last year when our lab got inspected, the CCRL lady didn't care how we mixed it. So I was just wondering, why is it really all that important?
And I just threw some concrete. That's how mad I got.
Ding.
So, yes, we follow the standards to the letter. I want to introduce you to David. He's going to scooch on that side.
Okay.
So, David is the reason, or not the reason, David makes sure that everything we do in this lab, we follow it to the standard. And if we don't follow it to the standard, we annotate. There better be a good reason why we don't follow the standard, and it has to be on our report to our customers.
Do we follow 192?
By the standard to the letter.
Why is it important?
That
Because
we,
the CCRL lady told him it's really not that important.
so David, do we follow the standard to the letter and the number?
Be darn close, yeah.
And if we don't, we have to
Write an exception.
write and let our customer know.
Right.
Now, when CCRL comes in here, oftentimes they don't know the standard. See, he's being nice right now.
Dave's, John's feisty today.
I'm very feisty. But,
We talked about just last week, before we mix, read the standard. You know, just to even brief yourself on what we're doing, remind yourself every step along the way, and then there's no question.
and she's in training.
Yeah.
Yeah, coming from the lab, I think that's right. I mean, that's what we need to do. You know, if we're new at doing this, we need to read the standard to see what we're supposed to do. If we're old at this, we're supposed to read the standard and make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to.
Wow, it
That
seems
being
like...
said, read the standard and do what you're supposed to do.
And follow
So
the
easy.
standards. And if CCRL comes in your lab and says, hey, don't worry about it, they might be testing you.
Maybe.
Like that's what happened to us our first year of evaluation. And I think you were standing there where I was like losing my cool, where all you have to do is tell me how to do it. You don't actually have to break a beam. And then every time I went to go put away, the CCRL person was like, what are you doing? You can't do that. Like, you just told me I was good. So follow the standard. Pretend as if you're just doing your day-to-day recurring schedule. And with us, we do the butter mix.
Right?
3 minutes of mixing,
Right.
3 minutes of rest, 2 minutes of mixing. And then we put the aggregate, water, and cement in as it's in the standard. We follow the standard to the letter unless we're doing something special for our customer. Let's say customer, whatever their name is, we're not going to mention that because of confidentiality agreements. They have a very specific type of mixing method, so we're trying to simulate what they're doing in their plant or lab level.
That's right. If we're trying to simulate a field case, then obviously we need to do the field case, but
Right.
That'll go in the report.
Right.
Right.
Right. And we'll annotate exactly what we did
Yeah.
in that mixing. So the other question was, why do we have a 3-minute rest? Is that necessary? Absolutely. If not just for the standardized condition. Now, the idea of a standard is if you're doing a whole bunch of mixes and you're trying to compare the differences in materials of the mixes, you can't just haphazardly mix. You have to have a standard operating procedure so that you know, all things being the same for mixing, it's only the change in the materials that's going to create a change either in your fresh or hardened properties.
That's right. We do a lot of A to B here. We do reference to some other mix and this and that. So in A to B, obviously you want as few parameter variations as possible. But we also do CCRL reference mixing here. So here we're comparing to total strangers at God knows where, at some distance, you know, they could be on the moon or Mars, or they could be,
Sometimes it seems like that.
they could be really someplace really strange like Texas. Although, you know, I like Texas, but
I do know you like Texas A&M grad?
Texas A&M grad. So in that case, we're A to B to C to D to E, F, so we've got to all do the same thing.
Right. So follow the standard. And you know that last statement, I don't know if you saw it, like the CCRL, testing technician,
No.
that you can't, that does not conform to the one, you cannot put in your aggregate separately when you're using a bag of Quikrete.
Yeah, I would be highly suspicious that CCRL doesn't care. I mean, they're here to check you against the standard.
Right.
They're here to certify that you apply things correctly. Yeah, I would characterize that as probably a trick question.
Right. Oh, the expectation. I don't know, and that's where my problem is I don't know if they're playing dumb to see if you're going to make a mistake, or if they're actually dumb. Don't fail with CCRL. You just get a certain amount of dings, and those dings have to be addressed. And as long as you address those dings, you know, written in a certain time frame, then you pass. You do get put lower on the list of what your percentage was, but you still pass. So it's very hard to fail CCRL unless you really want to fail.
You have to accomplish the corrective actions.
Absolutely.
As you described. You have a time period for that.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose if you just say, we don't want to do the corrective actions, then you'd fail.
Right. So when it comes down to it, do the work per the standard.
Yeah,
Remember that first compression report that you reviewed?
yeah,
David started working with us 4 or 5 years ago.
about
something.
that, yeah.
And it was a first compression report. It's just a compression report that he had to review, not even stamp, just review.
Right.
And I showed it to David, and he goes, "This is not right. We can't send this out." I said, "Why not?" And he goes, "Well, what does the standard say?" I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, these days we have our set worksheets that
Right.
we've designed and formatted, and we've compared them back and forth, and had other people check them. So these days, I don't necessarily get the standard out and read it line by line, although I did do that just this past week.
Which one? Oh, for the rheology test?
No, I'm looking forward to our next CCRL
Oh, sure.
visit. So I got the standard out to review what we're doing to make sure we comply.
And that's what we do. We spend a lot of time making sure that we conform to the standard. There was a mix that, a set of mixes that Brooke and I did that something seemed wrong, right?
Yeah.
It was the next day, the 24-hour strength wasn't conforming to what it should have. And what did we do with those mixes?
Throw them out, rerun it?
Because we want to make sure that we are standardized across the board. And if something seems wrong, we as a company have no problem correcting
Yeah.
the action right away. And
That's
not putting that back on our client. If we mess up,
Yeah.
we mess up.
If you're a certified lab, you have to do things in a certified manner.
Right.
You know, that's just the way it is. I mean, the standard's there for a reason. They're to standardize what we do. I mean,
I was in Australia last week, a week and a half ago, and I saw a report on cube brakes, and at the top of the report it said each cube was around 150 millimeters by 150 millimeters. There's no reason for me to look at that report, because that is not what we're supposed to do per the standard. Per the standard, you're supposed to measure it,
Yeah.
turn it, and measure it.
right.
And that's not what was done.
Yeah.
It was given a guesstimate
Ballpark figure,
for
yeah.
30 samples.
Wow.
When David's eyebrows do that, he's not a happy camper.
You know, if we're doing research, we're doing this and doing that to try to see what might work. We're doing prelim work to a 494. That's a little different. But you know, when we're running tests that we need to certify, then that needs to be to the standard.
You say that, but we are so indoctrinated into doing the standard, thank you, that my 4-year-old daughter, when she comes down here to hang out with us when we're doing brakes, she'll get the calipers out, and she'll measure, turn it 90 degrees, and measure again.
God bless your daughter, God bless the standards. What can
Yeah.
I say?
I think that wraps it
Well,
up.
even when collecting data, why not do it per the standard to, you know, make sure that it's the best set of data anyways
That's
that
right.
can be collected.
That's right.
Okay, so I think that wraps it up for today. Fairly long video. We get passionate about it because it is important, and CCRL doesn't have a competitor. They need a competitor. I'm going to stop that rant. Stop it before it even starts going down. I don't even have any more concrete. I do have more concrete.
Turn that way.
But thanks for joining us today. Let us know if you have any concrete questions or concerns, and let us know if you've ever run into any problems with CCRL. We like complaining about them. I like complaining about them.
Or if you love them and why.
Yeah, let us know that. We care about that too.
They're there for a reason.
They're there. Exactly. They're there. All right, thanks for joining us. Go Concrete!
And be default.